We'll just close this off with Lex. Why?
Yeah,
What are you going to bring to the table?
good question. So, I mean, if you guys don't know, hi, I am a robot. It's a joke, but it's kind of not. I have, an electronic device in my brain that siphons excess fluid, which it's not working today. I don't want to talk about it. So I'm leaning to the left. And it drains it into my stomach. But I'm light sensitive, and I wasn't light sensitive before brain surgery. It's a condition after, and it's just one of those things where it makes games a little harder for me to see. My phone brightness is really low, so when I hand my phone over to show somebody photos, they can never see. It's just one of those things I have to live with, and it is what it is. And all the time people are like, well, why don't you try, the different modes that they have? They have colorblind modes, but I'm not colorblind. So when I saw the article about Forza, I went, good for them. Good for them. I wish people would implement these more into other games. I hope this is the future of that. I don't play Forza. It's not a game that I was looking forward to playing. I just appreciate what they're doing. So Forza Horizon 5, and if you guys don't know, I wouldn't say I'm fluent anymore. I don't have anyone to speak to. I took sign language for 6 years in college. I wanted to be an interpreter for court reporting because a lot of the times things are mistranslated. So when I said out loud before we started the podcast that I thought this was cool that they were going to have an on-screen interpreter for the cutscenes, Davis said, why would they want to do that? I'll tell you why. Closed captioning is hard to follow. And with sign language, a lot of the interpretive part of it is in the face. So how do you get the nuance of the conversation? Where is this going? Is there like a little jab, like a little poke at the fun? Is there sarcasm? You can tell all that by the way that they make their facial expressions while signing. That's why a lot of interpreters are now at concerts and things like that, because it gives you more of an in-person experience if you are of the deaf community. So Forza Horizon has not just only done that, but they've done extra with accessibility features with people who are, in fact, light sensitive, different color features for people who are colorblind. And they're not just doing ASL, which stands for American Sign Language. They're also doing BSL, which is British Sign Language. They are very different. There is some crossover with a lot of the sign language, but for the most part, if I went to Spain and I was, American Sign Language with the deaf community there, it's a different language. But for what happens is you can turn it on in the accessibility, and basically then when you're watching all of the cutscenes, there is a physical interpreter on your screen then doing all of the sign language for you, which is the first of its kind. There's no video game out there that does this. And again, it's hard to follow closed captioning for people who were born deaf in the deaf community. It's not like us who are maybe a little hard of hearing, or maybe sometimes you miss things in a movie and you really want to make sure you don't. For myself, that's, I hear it ringing all the time. So I always have closed captioning on because whispering's hard for me to hear. But I understand where the conversation's going. I can hear the nuances in the voice. I can then follow through with the closed captioning. But for someone in the deaf community who cannot hear, that's just not how it goes. And so I just thought it was really cool, and I thought I would highlight them today for doing something really commendable. And I think it's sad that I have to say that, because it shouldn't be something that's commendable. Everyone should be doing this. And I think it needs to be more mainstream.
Well, to
you
be
know what I
honest with you,
mean?
though, like I will say this though, it's like you're saying like it's really hard for deaf people to be keeping up with closed captions. I mean, dude, you're playing a racing game and you're trying to
This is
you're
for
trying to do all this.
cutscenes. This is part of the story. So this is during the cutscenes. This is not during the actual racing. No.
Because I'm thinking of, I'm just thinking like, man, I'm just thinking like just normal multitasking on just that alone is already pretty tricky in itself. But I'm just saying this though. I mean, first off, I will say this. It's really like I'm really glad that like they're taking accessibility to like levels that we've never would have ever expected to be. Because remember when we did the spoiler cast for Last of Us Part 2? Because I think that was really the start of when all that started happening.
Play that game with your eyes closed.
Essentially, yeah, that's what they basically were saying. Like they were wanting to make you a bit able to play and beat the game if you're like if you're completely blindfolded if you wanted to. But yeah, so that was the mentality. I'm really glad that that pressure of that has not been like it's just been getting better for people who have disabilities and stuff because now the standard has the standard the markers have gotten higher for all of this and then who's to say that it's possible that what since Forza is the first to do of its kind to do it, which is surprisingly of all the games out there, Forza is the one that's like
Right.
sign language for it. But like it's just another step. I mean, it's going to take better and better. I mean, because like really, when
they probably have a huge dev community
oh,
following.
they most
have
definitely
to.
have to for something like this. But really, that's why Able Gamers is out there. To be honest with you, it's like they're the ones they work with these companies now. They're to a point where they're working with these companies on like saying this is what we need because we can't do like the accessibility so people can actually experience gaming the same way as regular like people who don't have disabilities and stuff. So I think that it's just another bar that's now been set that now people need to see to come across to say, okay, this makes sense. This is where we're needing to go with like when you can kind of make a little bit of fun with it. Like, can you imagine if they had Guardians of the Galaxy sign language people just cosplaying as some of the aliens or something like that? That would be pretty cool. Like, awesome. I mean, they could easily just kind of do things like do with that, So like, I think that like that kind of accessibility would be freaking awesome to have. And I mean, who's going to say no to this?
You also made a comment, and I do want to clarify, just in case nobody else knows this. So when you take sign language courses, a lot of the times your professors are deaf in college, which is more immersive. It's great. They can play a game and watch an interpreter at the same time. I'm just going to put that out there. Like when you are speaking to someone in sign, or you're signing to them rather because it's not spoken, they are not looking at your hands. They're looking you in the eyes. They're not looking at your hands. So they have very good field of vision most of the time. And so that's something to keep in. They could absolutely put an interpreter on the corner of the screen where nothing's really happening, and they would absolutely be able to watch the interpreter and still play the game at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about like, for instance, a game like Grand Theft Auto 3 or Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. It's like, can you imagine, like, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happening at the same time while they're talking in the story. Well, then you have a person doing all of that. There's a lot, there's a lot of things happening. It's like when with it. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. People's focus will probably be way better than mine, but I'm just saying that it's very, I mean, lots of it's happening on the screen. But what were you going to say, Smitty?
Yeah, I love it. And actually, the dude that did the accessibility, that consulted for that, was Brandon Cole. We interviewed him on LAN parties. And Super Blind Man, I think, is his Twitch name. He's on Twitch, by the way. But yeah, it's like not only that, but then, being friends with Lex too is definitely something that I look at more, is just what kind of accessibility options games do. That's something that I looked at when I was reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought theirs was a little on the weaker side. Yeah, as far as with that. So that was a little disappointing. But that was something that we had talked about, is that, look, you can see that. I mean, Brandon is blind. So he plays these games. And for him to be able to have insight into and help these companies develop these accessibilities is what's needed. This, again, is another company, another game, taking that extra step to be inclusive, to be able to allow more people to enjoy this game. This doesn't mean that people can't play it if it wasn't there. It means that they're able to enjoy it more. It's more of a comfortable feeling. And it seems like, oh, this is made specifically for somebody that has something to where this would be beneficial. I think this is awesome. I love seeing it. There needs to be more of this with games, within game companies, and where you can, again, there's places that stuff like this will work. There's places that it's not going to work. But, let's get some of those voices in there, in those rooms as they're developing this stuff. And let's see what we can do. Technology is crazy right now. There's all kinds of ways that we can make these games more accessible to everybody. And I just absolutely love seeing this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, like, if someone's bad mouths about, like, it's like there's too much accessibility options. There's something wrong with that person.
How dare, right?
Yeah,
you could just leave them off, right?
Yeah. No. Like, do you remember like how bad accessibility was? Like when you seriously sit down and think about like how bad it was. Like not even like shoot, we don't even have to go that far back. Like 10 years ago, it was just like it was mostly like colorblind mode and like I mean, and that's really about it. Like it was like the colors of the range may be softer and stuff for someone to kind of have a good somewhat of a good experience. But like now, this is like talking about like your controls, your steering, your eye, like the eye level, like your
eye contrast,
eye contrast and stuff. Like it is freaking
audible cues.
Yeah, the breakdown of it is just like night and day difference towards that. Like I guarantee you, but no, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised that this is something that Microsoft is actually starting to kind of put their foot, like being more serious about, because when you think about it, they're also the ones that made the accessibility controller. You remember the one with the giant, like with the additional parts depending on like, so like if you're a paraplegic or if you have any other issues or have like you have no strength in one arm and stuff like it's fully customizable to your stuff that you could use, so you could have a good playing experience as a gamer for that kind of stuff. So so I think that like overall it's it's a really cool thing that they're taking incredibly seriously, and then really, to be honest with you, shout out to Able Gamers, because really I think that really the company that the group that really changed all of this for people to open an eye is like, you know what, we didn't even think about that, we'll start doing that.
Right.
And it is Able Gamers. It was that group, because they've opened a new door, and they actually opened a new venue of people having a chance to play games that they didn't ever think that they would ever play on their own.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because and Smitty said it really well earlier when we were talking about, because we're going to Arizona for next weekend for Extra Life. I always ask, because it's a fight everywhere I go when my service dog comes with me. Regardless, that she's supposed to be there. She's supposed to be my handler. She's taking care of me, especially when I'm going to be gone for several days. Whether or not dust comes or not, she's supposed to be with me. She wants to work again. She's showing initiative. And Smitty's like, I never really think you and Opie are one to me. And Davis was like, oh yeah, I'll ask. And it's more of like well, you don't have to ask. You just have to tell them there's going to be a service dog there. And I think people forget that, yes, she's cute, and yes, she is a dog, but she's not a pet. Yes, we can play with her vest off. And she is goofy, and she's a huge personality, but she's not when she's her vest on, she's working. It's two different Opies. It's almost like she's a split dog. She's two different people, essentially. And she has human rights when her vest is on, which I think people forget that. And I think because Smitty has dealt with me and Opie for so many years, he's just like, yeah, accessibility for all, and it makes me happy. I'm like, well, and I'm glad in it. If this is one route that can happen, amazing. Now, if they can make a video game for my service dog, thank you. I'm kidding. Opie likes watching monitors, but she's right there. Opie. But I think this is a huge step, because if we can make these moves in smaller numbers here, I think it opens people's eyes in other areas, right? In other avenues. Because if they're so used to accessibilities being in their everyday gaming, then they're going to stand up for the people who can't stand up for themselves in the real world, is how I feel. I feel that this is a huge movement that it starts small and it moves into real world possibilities, And I think that's where we kind of need to put our minds at, just because I look normal, I wish that's just not the case, and I have people come into my chat all the time. They're like, what do you mean you can't see? I can see right there. It's right there. I'm glad you can. I can't. They're like, well, what are the glasses for? I'm like, for normal vision. I have a shunt, dude. They're like, what? A what? I'm like, no, I'm not cussing at you. I have a shunt, a thing in my head. So, I think this is a huge step for mankind, essentially. And I like that. It makes me happy. So
that's good. Yeah. Well, good deal. Good deal. Lex.
You can also pick that up, by the way.
Yeah.
It's on Game Pass. Got to throw
It
that out
is.
there.
Oh, nice. It's only no, well, can you only play it on the PC, the Xbox, or can you do it on PC too?
No, that's what I'm talking about. It's on
Both.
Game Pass.
You can do it on both. It's okay.
No, well, GameCast, the Ultimate Game Pass, there's some games that you can't do on PC. That's why I was wondering.
My understanding is that everything that's coming out is also going to be accessible on the PC Game Pass.
Correct. That's what I was
okay.
under the assumption
That's
of as
what
well.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think so.
Well,
I'll look. I will
check-
make sure I look.
check for me.
I'll check and
Like,
see.
because that's the case. So that and it's that and Age of Empires 4 is the two. I was like, the Age of Empires 4
I need to
was
play
really the
that.
one. Yeah, so we'll
I
see.
really need to play that. I love those games.
Yeah, so we'll go with it. Hey, Lex,
Yeah.
what do you have planned for the week?
Getting ready for this weekend, really. Just probably going to be playing some more frustrating Dark Deception because I love to torture myself. I would love to play some more Back for Blood. And I'm loving Devour. I need more people to play Devour with me. Okay, that is all. That's it. I'm doing.
How about you, Smitty? What you got planned?
Well, now that we can move past Metal Gear, I need to finish off Deathloop and In Sound Mind.
Oh, I need to play that too.
Yeah, In Sound Mind as well is we're getting closer to the end of that game, so I'm gonna probably play through that, and then obviously gearing up for the extra live stream next week and heading down to Phoenix to raise some money for the kids. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Yep, no kidding.
What about you, man?
All right, and I am going to play. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be playing some Lost Ark, the closed beta. So originally I was going to do what I normally do, which is about 3 days of something else and then 3 days of something else. Not this time because I don't have time for next week because once again we're all going to be in Arizona. I'll be leaving on Thursday, so I should be there like Thursday night, Friday night, or whatever, Friday morning. But I'm going to focus on the beta. Excuse me, focus on the beta more seriously and until its end pitch for Lost Ark. So definitely, if you want to check that new stuff out, come on by. So, guys, this was episode number 114 of the CFG GameCast. Thank you for being a part of the conversation as always. We will be back again, not next week, but the week after next. Wait, is the week after next Thanksgiving? I want to make sure because I always
Is
Kinda.
1, 2. No, it's okay.
not.
It's we're in the middle of the lull. Man, the 19th is gonna be
26.
yeah.
19th is gonna be busy because it got Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker and Battlefield 4 comes out. So the looking forward to Battlefield. That's gonna be nice. But but we'll be back on the 19th of November. We are going to be we're going to be traveling to Arizona for a 24-hour stream. You can check that stream out on CFG Games. We're going to be raising money for the Phoenix Children's Hospital. So definitely do that there. And we're also giving away a PS5 for raffle for any donations for it. So if you wanted to be a part of the raffle, just do !PS5, just $20 donation, they let you in, and you'll be all set. And that's it. But thank you for being a part of this conversation as always. We'll be back again on the 19th. But be sure if you do miss this episode, that is perfectly all right. We always release it out on Monday mornings at the beginning of each week. So if you didn't see our episode today, that you can check it out on any podcast services later. And so there's absolutely no reason to miss our sexy voices.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so guys, thank you so much. And also, if you want to see some more awesome content from us, go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to check out all the new news, reviews, interviews, and so much more that we like to do. So we got some awesome, cool stuff coming in the works. I can't wait till next week where I can announce the thing I'm doing with Netflix. So that's going to be freaking awesome.
Nice.
So yeah. So
we
guys,
don't even know. So if you guys are like, what the heck? We don't even know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
That's true.
It can't tell us. We don't even know.
Yeah. Well,
We
this
don't
is Lex, Smitty, and Davis signing off. Y'all take it easy.